All right, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Patterson Report. I'm Brandon. That's Ryan, and we have a very special guest this week. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyways. Slam Magazine called him pretty solid for a white guy. Spen Harris, a.k.a. Spenny and the Nets, a.k.a. the brainchild of Fireside Nets, a.k.a. the Nets Bleacher Report expert.
Heck yeah.
Welcome to the show, buddy.
You left out Spenny with the good hair.
Yes, Spenny good hair, but only with a little help. If you want to pull that out, we can show the people the real feel. We can go down that road if you'd like.
Hey, man, I can never pull that off. I got to give him credit. I've tried.
Thank you. Yeah,
I've tried, man.
I appreciate the warm introduction. Happy to be here. It's an honor to be on the Patterson Report. This is actually my favorite podcast in the state of Pennsylvania. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you. And for the two or three of you that have probably been with us since Jump Street, you'll remember that the Patterson Report was at one time 2 hours no traffic, which was at one time the last resort. So in a way, this is a homecoming of sorts for old Spence. So we're glad to have you back.
Glad to be back. And Brandon, tonight I'm drinking Knob Creek small batch Kentucky straight whiskey. Oh, I think someone brought me this bottle a few months ago. Don't remember who it was. Yeah, nice guy.
Pretty good house guest, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Damn good house guest. I would agree with that.
I just got a Miller. We're keeping it simple over here.
I already had a few days tonight, so.
I was putting back Miller Lights left and right last night, trying to get through this Sixers Heat game, because every time we have to play the Heat, it is a struggle from start to finish. That zone that they run stymies Embiid at every turn. Jimmy Butler seems to give us trouble. Tyler Hero seems to give us trouble. And it was an ugly first half. I already kind of had the outcome planned out. I was ready. I was like, okay, you know what? We lost this one. We move on to Chicago. We move on to probably Atlanta. Whoever's going to get through that one. But, man, the second half was the game changer. Spence, I know you watched the whole game yourself. Take me through what you think changed first half to second half.
Yeah, I think, the away team came out and punched you guys in the mouth. Embiid was a little bit rusty. I don't think he's played that level of intense basketball since before he got hurt, before he sat out a while. And, obviously he had a few games there before the regular season ended, but playoff basketball is different. We know that. Jimmy Butler's a different guy in the postseason. So Miami hit first. I had a feeling Philly wouldn't go away. You guys just are an extremely deep team, a million wings, guys that can hit shots. And that's what happened yesterday. I think from a scoring standpoint, you just had more firepower than Miami did last night. And once Butler went down and he couldn't move, there was no one on Miami that was going to match Embiid, Batum, and Maxey and Oubre, what those guys were doing. So,
yeah, I think that was, you're right. That was the key. We're going to get to the other two, Oubre and Batum in a second here, among a couple other role guys. But yeah, I think Miami's great about that. This is they thrive. They thrive in the late spring, early summer. They come in. They take the momentum out of your building right away. And previous Sixer teams, back when we used to do this, seemed like every spring it would be both of our teams were in it. And I'd say the same thing. The Sixers aren't built for that kind of game. They're not tough-minded. They've never been able to make adjustments. This was the kind of game previous Sixer teams lose. But I thought Nick Nurse did a fantastic job making adjustments. I think Joel Embiid played much smarter than he used to. I think 2023 Embiid tries to force the issue in the second half and just runs at the rim. If you watched yesterday, he knew what they were doing. He knew they were taking him out of the game, and he just started facilitating, which I don't think he was mature enough to do before this season. So that made a big difference too. Sorry, go ahead. I know you're going to jump in.
No, I'll tell you this. No James Harden, it makes a difference in the sense of more guys have to step up. There's more responsibility distributed throughout the team. So Harden carried such a major weight on the Sixers team when he struggled. People didn't know what to do. And yesterday was a perfect example of Embiid did not have a great first half. He was not the superhero reigning MVP Joel Embiid that you guys are used to. Yet there's so many solid guys on this team. You know, even Maxey wasn't Superman yesterday. It was just the way this team is built, Nurse coaching it. I think you guys have something special here. And the second that second half started and the 3-point barrage started and Miami's zone kind of fell apart, I don't know. I was not going to pick against you guys in that fourth quarter. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean, I think being detached from it lets you view it a little bit more, I don't know, objectively. Because I was doubting this to the very end.
You and me both.
Yeah, I know Ryan knows how it goes too. You know, what were your roller coaster of emotions, kind of like Ryan? Where was there ever a moment where you felt like we got this, or was it down to the last second? It
was down to like the last couple of seconds where we got that 3 or 4 point lead right there, because even though Jimmy Butler was out, they just kept answering. Like that Heat team never goes away, even without Butler. But I got a quote a rap lyric here. Fourth quarter, that's why Batum is in.
Oh, Spanish.
That's why I saw that. I had to give that a shout because, man, he played his butt off last night. 6 3-pointers, 20 points. And we're not walking out there with a W without him. So,
no. Dude, Kelly Oubre is becoming a favorite of mine for his post-game interviews. They asked him about, you know, how big of a deal was that Batum at the game that he had, how much they rely on him. And he just rattled off a line. He was like, boom, boom, Batum, baby. That's how we call him, the French Battalion. He was like, he's the smoothest dude ever. But, yeah, dude, Nick Batum, his whole season was worth it for tonight. I've been on this podcast preaching about how important he is all year. The stats don't always show it. He only averaged 6 points a game, but man, him and Embiid have this chemistry with his entry passes. I think are the best Embiid's ever had. And now Joel's getting smart enough that when they crash, you know, I know you play a lot of ball yourself too, but like when you see, I don't know anybody who's quicker off the draw than Nick Batum. I mean, he almost catches it halfway through the motion and just finishes. I mean, he's got the quickest trigger I can remember in a long, long time.
What I found kind of cool is when you watch him shoot, his feet are very close to each other. Like most guys, they need a wide base when they shoot, but he puts his feet very close, and it's just a quick flick of the wrist.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, the French connection, you know, the flaky croissant, he was feeling it yesterday.
Flaky croissant. Okay. I'll have to write that one down for later. Yeah, I mean, dude, 6 threes, and you know, you forget that block. Tyler Hero he's just starting to heat up. He gets a great look at it from 3. But that's just having smart guys. Batum said, you know, he'd seen that action before. Nick Nurse called him aside and said, look, they'd like to do this off of this screen. Keep an eye on it. Like, this is just stuff that we never had. I mean, you know, that Doc clip went super viral of him. Come on, guys. You got to want it, but like, you know, come on. We got to move, and come on, guys. Like, when you're coming from that to having your coach sit there and sit his guys down and diagnose, you know, in this situation, they like to go here. This is going to happen off of this screen. I mean, it's just such a night and day difference with the coaching and then the role players too. You know, Nick Batum's going to get a lot of love, and he absolutely deserves it. But a couple other guys. Cam Payne played 3 minutes, but he hit a corner 3 that kept Miami from going on a run, which was huge. Buddy Hield has kind of become a role player on this team because he had such a horrible regular season. He had a couple of big threes that, you know, when Tyrese couldn't get it going, Batum was catching a breather, just kind of kept the Heat within reach. I thought B-Ball Paul played well off the bench in 10 minutes.
Going crazy in those interviews, man. I don't know if you saw that.
Someone's got to pull a mic away from people.
Oh, I saw that. I hate that for you guys. What are you doing? You're the backup center giving the Knicks bulletin board fodder material? That's terrible.
And I forget, he did it last year too, and I forget who he was talking about. But yeah, someone's got to pull it. He lost his mic privileges. But dude, if you're gonna dunk on somebody, he did another one where he was saying that he wanted the Sixers to match because ain't shit to do in Utah. Like, that's fine. We're not gonna see the Jazz. Whatever. Don't go antagonizing the Knicks.
It's the last thing we need is another Kevin Durant. You're gonna regret not coming to the Knicks type of video.
He just doesn't play enough and do enough on your team to talk that trash. The one thing, Brandon, from last night, my two favorite plays for you guys that really won the game, it doesn't seem that important in the grand scheme of things, but Spoelstra went nuts. Was the Jaime Jaquez reach and foul on Joel Embiid that sent him to the line with like 2-3 minutes left in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Once I saw Spo lose it, I was like, oh, Miami's in trouble. But when you have an undisciplined foul like that late in the game, Embiid goes, he hits both. And then the other play was the pass to Oubre for the and one that put you guys
on that seal on the other block. Yeah.
Those two plays did it for me. That was the game right there.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it 100 times, this season. I'm such a big Kelly Oubre fan now, and I did not come into the season that way. I was like, there's a reason he's available. We signed his ass in September. I'm like, there's a reason he's available in September for a minimum. We'll take him for what he's worth. We'll see what happens. I don't know if it was a losing culture that he was in or what the issue is, but I mean, he's been great on the court, better off the court. He's replaced Tobias Harris. He's almost made Tobias Harris's shortcomings not matter, which is a huge undertaking.
Forgot about Tobias Harris.
Did you? What did he do yesterday that was worth mentioning? Yeah, that says it all. If you're Nick Nurse and money doesn't matter, everybody has the same contract. What's your starting five game one against the Knicks?
I only watched the one game yesterday. I haven't watched enough Sixers ball, but based on talent-wise, I'm going Maxey. I'm going Tobias has to start, Embiid. And then you got two more. I go Oubre and Batum.
That's probably what we're going to see. The only time Knicks changed it up, I like that. It's a big lineup. For whatever the reason, I'm Ryan. I don't know if you know the answer to this. Nick Nurse likes to start Tyrese and Kyle Lowry together. Which I think is a little bit bizarre because then it forces Batum to the bench. I would rather play a big lineup. Miami's all wings. They're built really similarly to the way we are, except for, Hartenstein and Embiid are in two completely different categories. But I want as many lengthy wing guys out there as possible. I like Kyle Lowry a lot, but I just don't think he's the same guy.
It's definitely not. We need to get D'Anthony Melton back.
He's not. He's done. He's done.
I thought there was rumors of him coming back. I haven't been following as close with him.
He's come back. He came back.
He came back for a little stretch there. I remember that.
Then he got hurt.
17 minutes a game. Yeah.
Yeah. Then he came back again, played 11 minutes, got hurt. He's not healthy. And Robert Covington I think he only played 3 games for the Sixers. So losing both of those guys hurts a lot.
I don't know why you guys have Kyle Lowry's fat ass playing big playoff minutes. I don't know. I look at that team and I think, like, my question to you guys is, did that Pat Beverly trade make sense in the grand scheme of things, or is he a guy you could have probably used in this upcoming series against New York?
Well, it's tough. So Pat Bev is out for the season. So
because of the injury, right?
Yeah, so it did work out that way for us. Kyle Lowry won us some big games in the regular season. So, at worst, you can say it's a push. Because it wasn't just Pat Bev for Kyle Lowry straight up. It ended up being Pat Bev. We signed Kyle Lowry, and then you got Cam Payne over in the trade. So you get a shooter, you get a backup guard, and you get Kyle Lowry. So, I've kind of come around on that deal. But a healthy Pat Bev against New York would be nice to have because, again, they're all wings. You can have somebody kind of just dog Jalen Brunson for 48 minutes a game. But now I guess that job's going to fall to Maxey. Then you got to deal with Dante DiVincenzo, who turned into a sharpshooter. So it's not going to be an easy series. I don't know. I know Paul Reed's he's writing checks that Joel Embiid's going to have to cash, but this is going to be a 6 or 7 game series, I think.
Yeah, it's boiling down to that. I'm just happy we don't have to play Boston.
Yes,
that was the alternative. It felt like so. I'm content playing the Knicks. I feel like it's a better matchup, obviously, but
yeah. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, our path now, because we're not the 8, is we'll have to, if you get through the Knicks, you really have a pretty easy second round waiting on you. It's either going to be a pretty banged up Bucks team led by generational choker Doc Rivers, or the Pacers with a struggling Halliburton. So, I mean, the Knicks is really the biggest mountain you have to climb before the Eastern Conference Finals.
It's kind of crazy. Like,
Yeah.
you look at it, like, who knows who's going to come out of that Bucks Pacers series, because Giannis's availability, like, I don't trust Dame to get it done, and I don't trust.
I don't think Dame's healthy either, right?
I think he's playing. He's been playing at least.
Yeah, he's playing, but
he's not 100%.
Yeah, okay. Because
He's
Doc
been
had a
playing.
press conference about.
So I don't like. You're definitely right there, and of course, the Celtics. You could probably pencil them in for the Eastern Conference Finals at this point. So you're right. It's definitely the biggest mountain we have to climb.
Yeah, well, because the Heat won't have Jimmy, right? Didn't he? He did something to his MCL.
Yeah, he sprained his MCL. They're getting MRIs. I think he's out. I don't think he's gonna. We're gonna see him again in the playoffs. And then you got to worry about Giannis. Giannis left one of the last regular season games early, and he's someone who's banged up right now. You don't know the version you're gonna get of him in Indiana, and then the other series, the Magic and the Cavs, both unproven teams in the playoffs. Does Donovan Mitchell want to be in Cleveland? Who knows? I agree with you, Ryan.
No, so far.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He wants to go somewhere else. But Ryan, I agree that the Celtics, it's their conference to lose in the East. This upcoming series with you guys in the Knicks, it's probably going to be the most exciting first round playoff series in the NBA.
Yeah. I think it's. I don't know about you. I haven't even followed the West.
It's crowded out there, man.
Really?
I mean, all those series in the West are going to be sick. This is the one series in the East.
This is the one in the East that we got to hang our hat on. We're like, this is what we got. This is what we're bringing to the picnic.
Dude, it's just, as a Sixer fan, it's just such a shame that I think this is our best team. This is the team that's built to run the table in the playoffs, but it's also the team that's going to have the hardest road to get there. Typically, you can pencil the Sixers in for a top 4 seed in the East. It's pretty automatic. And we finally have the squad to get through the East, and we're going to have to do it as a 7. And it just sucks that Joel missed all that time.
I'll be honest with you guys. Can I curse on this podcast?
I mean, yeah, it's on Twitter, so who the hell cares?
I fucking hate the Knicks. As a Brooklyn
Nets, that's why you're here. We're aligned.
I despise the Knicks. So what I need from you two, I need a lot of optimism that you guys are going to take this series. It's not going to be 4. It's not going to be 5. Could be 6, could be 7. I need you guys to stymie the role players for the Knicks. I understand that Jalen Brunson's going to have 30 to 35 a night. You're not stopping him. You're not slowing him down. He's getting his 30, whatever. But can you stop DiVincenzo from putting up 20 plus? Can you limit OG Anunoby offensively and kind of keep him in control? Guys like Deuce McBride and Josh Hart hit big shots because they have in the second half of the season. And those two guys have helped the Knicks become the best team in the East in the second half of the season. Can Joel Embiid play smart basketball and not sort of get bodied by Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson? Those are two big bodies that the Knicks have. They're going to throw at Embiid. Can his body withstand that physical torture? These are the things that I need Sixers fans to tell me are going to happen. And I need you guys to just explain to me why you're going to win this series. That's what I need to hear.
Well, I think it always helps when you have the best player on the floor. Yeah. Which Joel Embiid's the best player on the floor in this series. Jalen Brunson's had a tremendous season. He's the second best player on the floor. I mean, I love Tyrese Maxey. I'm the president of the Tyrese Maxey fan club, I'd like to say. But, I mean, Jalen Brunson's a better guard than Maxey. He just is. But
for sure. He is.
But I think after him, I mean, if you look at the top 5 best players in this series, actually, I'm really trying to be optimistic for you here. But it's a split there too. It's Embiid and Maxey. And then I think the Knicks have. You could argue it's 3-2 in either direction, which is tough. I don't think Hartenstein's a matchup for Joel Embiid. I think he's a big body, absolutely. No one can match Joel's footwork. Plus, he's new. I think you're going to see more than a couple of instances where Joel pulls out a move that he hasn't seen before, and he looks a little bit silly in the post, which is going to be good. Nobody on that team outside of possibly Josh Hart's fast enough to keep up with Tyrese Maxey. So if he can get downhill, I think he'll have a big series. And I just don't think they have the offensive firepower to hang with us. Defensively, they're great. That's going to be a little bit tricky. Dante's a great defender. Josh Hart's an incredible defender and a great offensive rebounder. So we're going to have to not lose all the 50-50 balls, but I'm expecting a better game out of Maxey, a better game out of Oubre and Embiid. If you can get those three guys to combine, I'm saying conservatively for 65, a couple role players pitch in here or there, you're in a pretty good spot. The Knicks are very reliant on Jalen Brunson to carry the load.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, DiVincenzo and Josh Hart had a couple fantastic games down the stretch there, but I think it's coming down to coaching and whoever steps up for each team. I think it's going to be Oubre versus DiVincenzo. I think whoever hits the bigger shots, we're taking home the series. It's going to rely on the stars, of course, but like I said, I think Oubre and DiVincenzo are going to be the X factors for each team.
Yeah, they're similar players too.
I definitely give you guys the coaching edge. I think Nurse is a better coach than Thibodeau. I mean, champion versus Thibodeau, who's great with the Bulls. He hasn't had that many great seasons as the Knicks head coach. But I like you guys in the coaching battle. And then just one guy on the Knicks that I would be afraid of in that second unit, and that's Bogdanović. Bogdanović has been playing good minutes. He can hit from the three. He's a guy when the Knicks are sort of struggling with that second unit's offense, Bogdanović can get them buckets. I think his most deadly shot is that three in transition that you got to watch out for. So listen, I mean, we want to talk about the Knicks not having firepower. I think that's a mistake. I think they have a ton of firepower. I just think that the Sixers' individual firepower is better. But the Knicks' chemistry and the fact that that core has played together for so long this season and they've won a lot of basketball, that is what frightens me if I'm a Sixers fan.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, going back to the days we used to do the podcast, I would bitch about that every year. One of the things that you get with Daryl Morey is he's going to be aggressive. He's always going to look to improve your team. The flip side of that is you're never going to have the same iteration of that team for very long. So to the Knicks' credit, I mean, you have, Dante, Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson have all played together since their college days. They clearly value that. Julius Randle's, of course, hurt, but they've kept him around. These guys have played a lot of time together. With the Sixers, you have Embiid and Maxey who have put together a pretty serious rapport, and that's really it. This is Oubre's first season. Kyle Lowry's been here months. Batum's been hurt off and on all season. Campaign's been here months. It's night and day when you talk about chemistry. So
that's why you guys are the 7th seed. Let's be real. That's why you're not a top 4 seed, because you haven't had the team there for the majority of the season. Yeah, we still don't. I mean, you're still missing your starting 2 guard and probably your best defender on the roster in Robert Covington. So you still have the full squad, but. Yeah, we're going to see. We'll go through real quick. I think it's going to be Sixers in 7. I think much like last year, we have a chance to close it out in 6. They blow it, but we get it done in 7 this time around. Ryan, what do you think?
I'm going to go Sixers in 6. I want to say 7 because if we get it done in 7, it's going to be such a huge confident boost from those Doc Rivers years where, it went 7, the other team won a big game 6, and you were just done. So Sixers in 6.
Spen?
I'll go Sixers in 6. I think that the Sixers will be jacked up to get one in Madison Square Garden those first 2 games. There are certain teams that sort of rise up with that MSG crowd, one of the craziest fucking crowds. I give them a lot of credit. Knicks fans show up in bunches. I think that that'll bring you guys together, and I think that you won't lose at home. So I say it's 6.
Okay, so everybody's picking Sixers. Makes me nervous. Anytime the Sixers are favored, I feel like that is not where we thrive. Anytime any Philly team is favored, that is not where we thrive. We're opening as betting favorites also, which I didn't see coming
That's
either.
The scary part.
So, yeah, I never like being the odds-on favorite. We thrive as underdogs. But, we're going to see what happens. But before we let Spen go, there was an old tradition on all of our previous podcasts whenever a guest would come on, and it wouldn't be right if I didn't turn the tables and do one now that Spence is a guest.
I've never done a rapid fire before.
Yes, you're always the one doing it. So we have 6 rapid fire questions that is right up Spence's alley. Couple tough ones, but you ready to get to it?
I put my Caesar thing on.
He's upgrading.
I'm like a Greek god right now. Let's go.
We're going to start easy to get progressively tougher. So,
okay.
Number 1, all-time favorite net.
Richard Jefferson.
Most underappreciated net.
Nenad Kristic.
Wow, yeah. I mean,
that is nice.
Favorite era of Nets ball.
That would be the 02-03 season when they lost to the Spurs in 6 in the championship.
The best breakfast sandwich.
Ooh, that's a dirty bacon, egg, and cheese with queso frito.
Oh, okay,
Brandon, you had that sandwich with me.
I know. Yeah. It's not one of the classics. It's not a bacon, egg, and cheese, sausage, egg, and cheese. It's you went off the reservation all the way.
I think it's also the last sandwich I had, so it's like in my head. Go on.
Okay. Best North Jersey sandwich shop. For those of you who don't know, when he's not reviewing hoops, Spen's reviewing sandwiches as Spenny sandwiches.
Best North Jersey sandwich shop. I'm going to go Suprema in Rutherford, New Jersey.
Okay. And this one, better food scene, Philly or Manhattan?
I actually think that Philly's an underrated food scene. I don't think Philly gets enough credit. It's not just a cheesesteak city. You guys also have great Italian, great pizza. But I don't think it's a competition. I mean, you turn in any direction and you bump into the greatest restaurant you've ever been to in Manhattan. So I give Manhattan the nod, but I will say that every time I've been in Philly, I've had an awesome time. I never had an experience that made me say, fuck, I don't want to ever go back to this city again. Granted, when I would go to Philadelphia Eagles tailgates for research right out of college, I would never wear Giants gear. So maybe my experience would be a little bit different if I rocked like an Amani Toomer jersey around, is it Lincoln fight? What is it? Lincoln. Around the link. So yeah, I like Philadelphia. It's not on the same page as Manhattan.
That's understandable. I appreciate that you made it a close race. That notwithstanding, this is a Philadelphia sports podcast. We're going to pretend that Spen didn't just side with New York. But, buddy, it's been a pleasure to have you back. Thanks for doing our Sixers segment. Thanks for doing a rapid fire and being on that end of it. Everybody, if you're just a fan of basketball, it doesn't have to be team specific. If you're just a fan of good hoop breakdowns, follow Spence and follow his podcast on Twitter at Fireside Nets. If you love food, check him out on Instagram at Spenny Sandwiches. And hopefully you'll be able to check him out here once again on the Passing Report later on down the line.
Yeah, and if you're in North Jersey and you want that work one-on-one, just come to Englewood. That's it. Like game to 11, all ones, no rebounds. So every shot, change of possession. I'm with it. Like I'm about it. I don't care if you're 7'2". I don't care if you're Victor Wembanyama. I'm right here. I don't duck smoke.
Okay, you hear that, Victor? He's ready for you. I'm not going to throw down any such gauntlet. Neither is Ryan. So with that, I'm Brandon. That's Ryan. He's Spence. And this is the Passing Report. We'll see you all later.